November 11th, 2020. Joe Biden is elected president, but Donald Trump is not budging. What a weird world we're living in. It took about a week to count the ballots in the biggest voter turnout ever, but Joe Biden won both the popular vote and the electoral vote, so Trump is suing to declare the election invalid. Meanwhile, what affects me and the cats most is who will control the House and Senate. It seems clear the House will remain Democratic, but we won't know until runoffs in January the fate of the Senate. Yesterday concluded 2 full days of filming with Louis Theroux and his team for a follow-up to his 2011 documentary called America's Most Dangerous Pets. Back then, he was my hero for exposing the egotism of exotic pet owners and the suffering of the wild animals they held captive. Because it was a show made for the UK, it didn't get the kind of attention in the US that it should have, despite us trying to share it broadly. He has an interesting style of investigation, where it appears he doesn't do much research into an issue, but rather just questions people in a way that is effective in getting them to hang themselves. After Tiger King, Murder, Mayhem, and Madness turned out to be such a hit series, he looked back at his 2011 interview with Joe Schreibvogel and the footage he'd shot, and wondered if he had missed something in his questioning. What I recall him missing was thinking that he didn't interview anyone from the animal protection community to counter Joe's claims that he was a sanctuary. He didn't pull USDA reports to see the hundreds of citations and fines against Joe. He didn't talk to Joe's mates or workers about what kind of person he was. This time around, he is covering all those aspects. I hope it will get the broad viewership the topic deserves. Next week, we will be filming with the crew again in Wynnewood, Oklahoma, at the now closed GW Zoo. We have made introductions to as many people we know who could speak to Joe's character and the abuse that happened at the zoo. It will be hard to get people to confess that they enabled his bad behavior, because people can only see themselves as the hero of their life story, and helping someone abuse and kill so many precious animals doesn't fit with their self-image. Louis said his BBC lawyers got a nastygram from the producers of Tiger King, stating that they had contracted all of Joe's associates for their Tiger King 2 series, and that they were barred from participating in any other filming for 5 years to protect their production. It will be interesting to see if anyone will be willing to face prosecution for talking to Louis and telling the truth. I feel certain the truth won't be told in Tiger King 2, since it was so misleading in Tiger King 1. I learned from one of the people on Theroux's team yesterday that our AR Zoo display is closed at the mall, so I need to contact both malls and see what I can do to reopen the space, since people are out shopping and acting like there aren't 140,000 new cases of COVID-19 every day in the US. Maybe we can educate them about saving the planet and her wildlife before they contract the disease and join the 240,000 people who have died already. Apparently, I am the style icon for 2020, and ABC just asked if they can interview me as one of the most notable icons overall this year. There's just so much going on that I hate to schedule another interview. Wildcat Walkabout is Saturday, and even though it will be a virtual event, I am in charge of making sure all of the paid Zoom meetings will happen, which means dealing with a lot of tech-challenged people, while I'm already stressed out about everything else going off without a hitch. Last night, after being on my feet for 2 days straight, and being frustrated by the Theroux's film crew and the bands of wind and rain caused by Tropical Storm Ida out in the Gulf, I had to host the Zoom meeting for the volunteer committee and the coordinators from 6 to 8 p.m., and then process and upload the recorded meeting for those who couldn't attend. Theroux's team are lovely people, but like all filmmakers who don't work with big cats, they just spent so much time fussing over getting the tripod to the exact position they want and the lighting just right that they missed great shot after great shot. Priya Tiger swam in the lake for over 10 minutes, and the sunlight on her was just exquisite, and they didn't capture a moment of it because they first forgot the quick release plate that attaches the camera to the tripod, and then had to go back to the hotel, yet again, to get camera cards because they didn't bring them to the photo shoot. Yeah, 2 days of that, and then being interviewed standing in the party house kitchen because Louis likes kitchen scenes, and holding Howie up because his back surgery makes him so wobbly he risks falling with every second he's out of a chair. I was just beyond exhausted. Howie did an amazing job of answering questions, though, and was really at his best in his delivery, so the end result should be excellent. Sunday, Howie and I are driving for 2 days to Oklahoma, and then we will film with the Theroux and the Think Factory on successive days before driving home. As soon as we get back, I have interviews on the calendar already. Angel Bobcat went out to rehab yesterday in a cage next to Poppy Bobcat, in the hopes that they will be able to imprint on each other instead of people. Pharaoh Serval is in the hospital due to his third eyelid being up on one eye. Jamie has often said he's the last of her cats, meaning that when he's gone, she no longer has that strong heart tie to the sanctuary. She loves the other cats, but I know what she means when she says there's just something that ends with Pharaoh. I kind of felt that way with Little Feather. Like, losing her would be the last time my heart would be crushed by the loss beyond repair. A big part of our committee/coordinator meeting last night was about how to deal with coronavirus impacting our volunteers' ability to keep up their hours. We are having to make concessions that are dangerous, like letting people stay home for weeks or months and then come back with only brief retraining. We are having to figure out how people progress through the levels up to bigger cats if they can't put in the training and certifications necessary. For now, they just won't progress. But what happens is our senior people succumb to the disease and there's no one to do the work. Then we will have to allow a lesser qualified person to fill in. Jamie and I are trying to work in safety measures, like making the cables to the doors all hook up to trees or posts so that the person doesn't have to touch the side of the cage to move a door. I see us becoming more lax in policies, like never being gone at the same time. While I was in Hollywood, Jamie was on vacation for an overlap of a couple days. Now I have to be in Oklahoma, and Jamie wants to attend an art show with her art, and we will both be gone for an overlap of 2 days. Our people do fine, but we both just lose our minds worrying about it. Skyhorse Publishing is pressing DMA to pressure us to do our books. A book about the battle to save big cats by Howie that will be 165 pages, and a 500-page book by me on my life. I'm resisting, because my story doesn't end until cub handling and private possession of big cats is banned. I also have a gut feeling about Skyhorse not being the right publisher. I'd rather Howie go through the process on his book first and see what happens. He's game to do it, but every day he's mired down in his friends wanting him to give presentations now that he's famous, and he's having to deal with the legal battle with Anne McQueen. It appears Don's daughters have fired John Phillips and may have hired Clark Brewster. I'm going to say what these people told me about him. As a result, Phillips stipulated to dropping Don's daughters as plaintiffs against me and dropped Susan Aronoff Bradshaw and Kenny Farr as defendants, so that just leaves Anne suing me, Howie, and the sanctuary for defamation, a case she can't win. We still have to go through the motions, and that's expensive and tedious. It's a hassle that none of us need right now. Brewster hasn't filed anything yet, and I just can't imagine what kind of claim he'd try to file. I think the girls just want money, but Phillips learned, and Brewster will learn, that I will fight to the end on principle. Think Factory seems convinced they will have a deal with Animal Planet and Discovery for our show about chasing down and exposing the bad guys. They have nothing in writing yet, but are planning to film next week in Oklahoma anyway. We've been turned down by A&E, Lifetime, Facebook, and everywhere else we were pitched because we are, quote, too controversial. People are so afraid of making history and want to wait until public opinion is clearly aligned before talking about how that history was made. If you're enjoying my diary, please like, share, and subscribe. You can find other ways to connect to me over at bigcatrescue.org/Carole.Baskin.